In a bustling city filled with towering skyscrapers and glimmering lights, life moved at a breakneck pace. Among the throngs of people was a woman known for her grace and elegance, Claire Sinclair. She was the epitome of sophistication, with her designer clothes and perfectly manicured nails. Claire strode through the world with a sense of entitlement that seemed to follow her like a shadow. On the other end of the spectrum was Jake Turner, a dedicated fast food worker at a local burger joint. He was a kind-hearted soul with big dreams, but was often overlooked by those who considered themselves above him. Jake wore his uniform with pride, believing that hard work was the key to success, even if it didn't always seem glamorous. Their worlds collided one fateful afternoon when Claire, in a rush to grab a quick bite between meetings, found herself in Jake's fast food restaurant. As she stood in line, she scrolled through her phone, oblivious to the chatter around her. When she finally reached the counter, her eyes narrowed at the young man in a stained uniform. "What do you want?" she snapped, annoyance dripping from her voice. Jake looked up, a little taken aback. A cheeseburger, please." "Is that all? You must be so proud of yourself," Claire scoffed, her eyes rolling. "Is this what you dreamed of doing with your life? Serving greasy food to people like me?" Jake's cheeks flushed with embarrassment, but he held his ground. "I'm working hard to save up for college. You know, everyone has to start somewhere." Claire laughed, a harsh, mocking sound that echoed in the small space. "Good luck with that. You'll need it." She turned away, dismissing him without a second thought. The encounter left Jake feeling small and defeated, but he buried those feelings deep down. He continued his shifts, saving every penny for his dream of becoming a chef. Meanwhile, Claire returned to her high-powered life, sharing her disdain for the service industry with friends at fancy brunches. Months passed, and Jake's dedication began to pay off. He enrolled in culinary school, juggling his job at the burger joint and late-night classes. He poured his heart into cooking, finding that it was his true passion. One evening, as Jake prepared for a big cooking competition at school, he received unexpected news. A prestigious Billionaire Gala was being held in the city, and the winner of the competition would get a chance to showcase their dish at the event. Jake's heart raced. This was his opportunity to shine, to prove not just to himself but to everyone who had ever doubted him that he could make it big. He vowed to create a dish that would leave a lasting impression. Meanwhile, Claire was busy planning her attendance at the gala. She had received an exclusive invitation, her name sparkling on the guest list. She had always dreamed of rubbing elbows with the elite, and this was her chance. On the day of the gala, the atmosphere was electric. The venue was adorned with crystal chandeliers and elegant decor, creating an air of opulence. Guests dressed in their finest attire mingled, sipping champagne and discussing the latest trends in high society. Claire, in her stunning designer gown, felt like a queen. As she made her way through the crowd, she suddenly caught sight of a figure in the distance. Her heart raced as recognition washed over her. It was Jake, standing at a grand cooking station, looking sharp and professional in a chef's coat. He was preparing his dish for the gala, the very event she had mocked him about. Claire's mind spun with disbelief. How had he gone from flipping burgers to cooking for billionaires? The sight of him stirred something deep within her. Pride, jealousy, and confusion all battled for dominance. It felt surreal to see someone she had looked down upon, now standing in the spotlight. "Hey, Claire," Jake called out, his voice warm and friendly as he spotted her. "What a surprise to see you here." Her expression faltered, caught off guard by his genuine smile. I didn't expect to see you," she stammered. "Yeah, I've been working hard. This is my big chance." He beamed, his excitement infectious. Claire felt a pang of shame. The arrogance she had once held seemed so trivial now. "That's amazing, Jake. I didn't know you were pursuing cooking professionally." "Thanks, I really love it," he replied, his enthusiasm evident. "I just hope the judges like my dish." As the evening progressed, Claire found herself drawn to Jake's station. She watched as he poured his heart into every plate, skillfully crafting a dish that was both beautiful and delicious. The aroma wafting from his station was intoxicating. "Wow, it smells incredible," she exclaimed, unable to hide her admiration. "Thanks. It's a fusion of flavors I've been working on," Jake said, a hint of pride in his voice. The judges arrived, and the tension in the room thickened. Jake presented his dish with confidence, explaining the inspiration behind his creation. Claire held her breath as the judges took their first bites. She could see their faces light up with delight. Finally, the moment arrived when the judges announced the winner. And the award goes to Jake Turner. The crowd erupted into applause, and Claire felt a surge of joy for him. She watched as he accepted the award, tears of happiness glistening in his eyes. In that moment, Claire realized how wrong she had been to judge him. As the gala continued, Claire approached Jake, pride swelling in her chest. "Congratulations, chef. You truly deserve this." "Thanks, Claire. It means a lot coming from you," he replied, his smile radiant. But just then, a well-dressed woman approached them, her eyes flicking between Claire and Jake. "Jake, my dear, I'm so glad to see you here." Claire's heart sank as she recognized the woman, an influential figure in the culinary world. The woman embraced Jake, her tone dripping with familiarity. "You've come so far since your days at that fast food place. I always knew you had potential." Claire felt a mix of emotions. Pride for Jake, but also an unsettling sense of jealousy. How could she feel envious of someone who had clearly worked harder than she ever had? The woman's eyes turned to Claire, assessing her with a critical gaze. "And who might this be?" "This is Claire Sinclair. We met a while back," Jake introduced, his tone warm yet uncertain. "Pleasure," Claire managed, forcing a smile. As the conversation shifted, Claire felt increasingly out of place. She had once believed that her status defined her worth, but standing next to Jake, she realized how misguided that belief was. The night wore on, and as the crowd began to thin, Claire found herself alone with Jake. "You've really made it, you know. I'm proud of you," she said, vulnerability creeping into her voice. "Thanks, Claire. It's been a journey," he replied, sincerity shining in his eyes. The room fell silent for a split second, the energy building in anticipation. Then, as if on cue, the lights in the grand ballroom dimmed, and a single spotlight shone down on Jake. The crowd held their breath, their eyes fixed on the young chef standing proudly at the center of the stage. A voice echoed through the room, clear and commanding. "Ladies and gentlemen," the voice boomed, "we have a special surprise for you tonight. Our winning chef will be featured in a cooking show next month, showcasing his incredible journey from fast food to fine dining." The announcement hung in the air, and for a heartbeat, everything seemed to pause. Then, the room erupted into thunderous applause, the sound vibrating through the walls. Claire's heart skipped a beat as she watched Jake stand tall, a look of disbelief mixed with pure joy on his face. She couldn't help but feel an overwhelming wave of pride rush through her. Jake had done it. He had overcome every obstacle, every doubt, and had proven to the world and to her that anything was possible with hard work and resilience. Her mind flashed back to that day in the fast food joint when she had been so dismissive of him. She had scoffed, belittled his dreams, and now here he was, standing in the spotlight, with a future brighter than she could have ever imagined. As the applause continued, Claire's emotions stirred deeply. She had always believed in the power of status, of wealth and connections. But Jake's success had shattered that illusion. It wasn't about where you started or the labels others put on you. It was about what you did with the opportunity you had and how hard you were willing to fight for your dreams. Jake had fought, and now he was reaping the rewards. The night continued, but Claire found herself lost in thought, her heart full. She knew that she needed to speak to Jake, to share what had been weighing on her mind. As the event began to wind down and guests started to leave, she made her way toward him, her steps steady, but her thoughts uncertain. When she finally reached him, Jake was surrounded by well-wishers, but when he saw Claire approaching, he smiled warmly, his eyes lighting up. It was as if nothing had changed between them despite the years and the distance. "Jake," Claire began, her voice soft but filled with sincerity, "I've been thinking a lot about everything that's happened. I shouldn't have judged you the way I did. I was wrong." Her words felt heavier than she expected, as though they carried more than just an apology. "I see now that everyone has a path, and yours is incredible. You've done more than I could have imagined. I'm so proud of you." Jake looked at her for a moment, his expression softening. A mixture of gratitude and understanding shone in his eyes. "Thank you, Claire," he said, his voice calm and sincere. "It takes a lot to admit when you're wrong. I appreciate that." In those simple words, Claire could feel the weight of their past melt away. The tension that had once hung between them seemed to evaporate, replaced with a quiet mutual respect. As they exchanged a final, meaningful glance, Claire realized just how far they had both come. The lesson she had learned that night was profound. It wasn't just about humility or second chances. It was about understanding that people were more than the labels others placed on them. It was about seeing potential in others, even when they couldn't see it in themselves. And most of all, it was about learning to respect each person's journey, no matter how different it might seem from your own. As Claire turned to leave, she felt a sense of peace wash over her. The story of her encounter with Jake had come full circle, but more importantly, she had come full circle herself. She had learned something about kindness, about humility, and about embracing others' successes with an open heart. That night, she left the gala feeling lighter, as if a burden had been lifted from her shoulders. Months later, when Claire watched Jake on television, cooking alongside some of the finest chefs in the world, she smiled, knowing that the journey they had both taken had shaped them into better people. She didn't just see Jake's success anymore, she saw her own transformation reflected in his. Months passed, and life had a way of moving forward in ways Claire had never expected. One quiet evening, she found herself curled up on the couch, her eyes glued to the television screen. The familiar chatter of a cooking show filled the room, but it wasn't the usual celebrity chefs that caught her attention this time. It was Jake Turner, the young man she had once so carelessly mocked, now standing confidently among renowned chefs on a popular cooking network. She sat there in stunned silence, her heart swelling with a mixture of pride and awe. Jake, the same guy who had worked at a fast food joint, now commanding the attention of millions with his talent, his story, and his undeniable passion for cooking. His journey had been anything but easy. And yet here he was, proving to the world, and to her, that dreams could indeed become reality, no matter where they began. Claire leaned forward, her eyes never leaving the screen as Jake presented his dish to the judges. The camera zoomed in on his beaming face, his hands working with precision and care. She felt a tear well up in her eye. It wasn't just admiration for Jake that stirred her, but something deeper. A realization that the young man she had once looked down upon had somehow become a symbol of what was possible with sheer determination. A small, almost imperceptible smile tugged at the corners of Claire's lips as she watched Jake receive accolades from the judges. It was hard to explain the feeling that filled her chest. Pride, yes, but also an overwhelming sense of humility. She thought back to their first encounter, the words she had spoken to him, the way she had judged him so harshly, dismissing him as nothing more than a fast food worker. How foolish she had been. But Jake had proven something far more important. He had shown her that no matter who you were or where you came from, everyone had value. In that moment, Claire realized that her earlier life, wrapped in arrogance and superiority, had been a shell, hiding the emptiness she had felt all along. Watching Jake flourish had opened her eyes to a deeper truth. The worth of people wasn't defined by their status or their job title. It was defined by their heart, their passion, and their willingness to keep pushing forward in the face of adversity. As the cooking show came to an end, the host announced Jake's next big project, a cooking book showcasing his rise from humble beginnings to a celebrated chef. Claire could hardly believe it. She had seen Jake struggle, but now he was a household name, his success a testament to the power of perseverance. She couldn't help but feel a deep sense of peace wash over her. For the first time in a long while, Claire felt a warmth in her chest. The snobby woman who had once looked down on others had transformed too. She had learned to appreciate the value in every individual, regardless of their background or where they had started. The world was far more than the surface appearances that Claire had once held so dear. As the credits rolled on Jake's show, Claire sat back, her heart full. She knew her own journey had changed as well. Her understanding of others, her ability to embrace humility, and most importantly, her ability to recognize that everyone's journey mattered. Sometimes, the tables could turn in the most unexpected ways. Claire and Jake's story was no longer one of rivalry or judgment, but one of growth, understanding, and shared respect. Life had a way of bringing people together when they least expected it, reminding them that no one was ever truly alone in their journey. As the credits faded to black, Claire took a deep breath, feeling lighter than she ever had before. She was proud of Jake, and for the first time in her life, she was truly proud of herself. If you enjoyed this story and want to see more incredible journeys of growth, redemption, and unexpected twists, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. Your support means the world to us. If this story touched your heart, please give it a thumbs up and leave a comment sharing your thoughts. We love hearing from you. And if you think someone else would enjoy this, don't forget to share it with your friends and family. Let's spread the positivity together. Thanks for watching, and we can't wait to bring you more stories like this.